Okay, hello everyone. So this is the second video, and this is going to go over option two for assignment four. So just like what I mentioned in the first video reviewing option one, I definitely want you to do the introduction, okay, as well as to do the issue section, as well as the purpose, okay, and of course the research questions. Now, once you get to the literature review, this is where you're going to implement option one. So how do you indent the first sentence? Okay. So if you notice here, I wrote the opening paragraph for my paper that I'm tentatively going to write. So then I wrote, this research will adopt a critical point of view on the topic of how globalization facilitates human trafficking. Human trafficking is a violation of human rights because it deprives a person of the right to be free from any coercion by way of physical violence. This study adopts a critical approach because when globalization was first introduced in the 1990s, globalization was presented as a progressive force for good. Through this lens, sorry about that. It may be apparent that the spread of human trafficking is one of the many effects globalization that has not fulfilled the promise of making life better, but worse for people. Sorry, worse for human trafficking victims. Human trafficking is based on a commodifying the human body for profit. As such, this study adopts a hyperglobalist approach. Adopting a hyperglobalist perspective assumes that globalization is an actual thing to be studied. The engine that moves globalization is capitalism, which is a system based on the idea of expanding its reach, whereas capitalism can only survive when it is expanding. Human trafficking is a violation of human rights, where globalization has made shipping victims around the world because of the connectivity that has made it easier for human traffickers to take advantage of a global system of travel. A concept used in this manuscript is connectivity. As Paul James and Manfred B. Steger explain how connectivity aids in connecting people for economic prosperity through modern technologies. Okay, so then this is the opening paragraph, as I mentioned in class a few times. And then the next thing that you're going to do once you have written the opening paragraph is that you're going to take your first question, all right, from your research question, and then you're going to convert it into a heading. So this is my heading that I converted from my question above. And I'll show you what the question looks like. So my subheading for this particular presentation is Global Connectivity Facilitating Human Trafficking. All right, so let me scroll back up so I could show you that this is the first question that I converted into a subheading. All right, so as I mentioned in class, what you're going to do is you're going to leave out the verbs like how does, and then you're pretty much going to stay with the nouns. And then once you can convert the nouns to the proper tense, then that's what you're going to discuss under this particular section. Okay. So now I'm going to go back to that section and read out loud what I wrote, so you could sort of understand how to go about answering your individual responses. Okay, so here's again my first subheading. Okay. So I wrote, James and Steger explained that connectivity is foundational to understanding globalization. James and Steger briefly explained how the term connectivity has gone through many iterations of how it can be used to understand globalization. For instance, they highlighted John Tomlinson's definition of complex connectivity. Terms like these tend to revolve around the concept of exchange and interaction at a distance. To James and Steger's argument, to clarify and redefine the understanding of connectivity related to globalization. So then this is the quote, right? So then What I just wrote is contextualizing the intent of the sentence that I'm borrowing from James and Steger. So then this is the quote that I borrowed from them. Thus, an adequate definition of globalization needs to recognize that connectivity is only one possible outcome of increasing extension of social relations across global space and time, even if it is experienced differently from a subjective point of view. All right. So, and if you notice, because I did not identify James at Steger at the beginning of this sentence that I borrowed from them, but I did include their name in the in-text parenthetical citation. All right, and then here I have the year of publication as well as the page number that I borrowed the quote from. And then after the quote, I provide an interpretation of the quote. So, to develop an adequate understanding of globalization is to understand how connectivity is crucial for global flows to connect different and disparate areas around the world that used to be isolated prior to globalization. All right, and then I would continue writing what I would write in terms of addressing this point of how connectivity helps facilitate human trafficking. Right, and that's sort of what you're going to do as well. All right, and then once you're done, and sorry, and when you're done, this should be at least for this particular subheading, at least like 2 pages minimum, but not necessarily more than 3 pages. Okay. And then once you write those 2 to 3 pages, then you're going to write out the significance. Right. Um, and then once you do the significance, then again, you're going to do the outcome. All right. Now, this is going to be exactly for option four. Sorry, for option two. Okay, sorry about that. But then what you're going to do for option three is literally do the entire lit review or as much as you can for the lit review. And what I mean about that is that you're going to take your 3 questions from your research question section and you're going to convert all 3 of your questions and then begin to answer each question under those specific subheadings. All right. So hopefully this makes sense. And I'm going to post these up and then I will start posting up the other videos going over the outline. Okay. Um, okay. So thank you. Bye.